body off the 40 now. You can really get access to everything. We took it off the back so we can get to everything. And I think it's time to give it a clean now that it's outside. Because there's about, I don't know, I'd say there's an inch or two of dirt in the chassis rails where the body was. So I've got about a dozen cans of degreaser. I've got some truck wash, I've got a gurney. So we'll see what we can get done with that. Remember, just as I was about to start doing the diffs, to take the wheels off. Then you can get in all behind the wheels because they're they're split rims and they've got quite a big. They're not like Sunraysers or something where you've got holes. So you get behind that, you can get to the drums, get to the diffs easier. So I'm going to take those off, jack it up, and then you can get to everything easier. So I've moved the 40 from where it was on the grass down so the engine's just kind of on the dirt in front of the shed. So we can get rid of all the oil and grease on the engine and not kill all the grass. So that's the 40 all clean, all the chassis at least. Well, I think I got most of the mud and grease on me instead of the ground. There's a lot in there. It's so thick, the water and grease mixed, it kind of won't sink through the dirt, but that's alright. 40's clean. You couldn't see the 2H symbol there or the engine code before. There was that much oil and grease on it. So I've moved the 47 into the shed so we can start kind of getting it ready for painting and fixing it up. I found some nasty cracks in the kind of back half of the chassis. That's from the homemade tow bar they put on, which homemade tow bars on 40s never go well, and this one's done a fair bit of damage to my back end, so we'll have to figure out a way to fix that. But otherwise the chassis is in pretty good nick. So homemade tow bars on 40s are never really a good idea, mainly just because they're not done properly. This one really wasn't. It just had 4 bolts through there. Had this big support down the bottom which has held up except for the cracks. But they just put 4 bolts through the back of the chassis here, and it's really quite destroyed the back of the chassis. It's put cracks all up through the bolt holes. It's put a massive crack down the middle, and it's put these 2 big cracks in these cross support things. So to start working the chassis, I'm going to get rid of this bull bar. Now it's a good bull bar. I'd really like to keep it, but I don't know if we're going to be able to save it because it's all smashed up to the front. We might be able to modify it, but it's never going to be that good of a bar even if we fix it up. So I'm going to take that off now, get access to the front of the chassis. There's a few bolts around. There's the big plates that are actually on the chassis, and they're riveted from underneath and bolted on top. So you can't undo those, but they come out and then mount to the actual bull bar through a few bolts. So I looked at the bolts and I thought, I'm not going to undo them. They're already starting to round, they're rusted underneath. You can't get any spanner underneath easily, so I'm just going to get the grinder and get rid of them for good. it. After 2 hours, we got the bull bar off. We ground 9 of the 10 bolts out. None of them would undo. They were so seized, so we just so I just put the grinder through them. The bull bar's pretty mangled, so I don't think there's going to be any saving it. You can see the cracks through it. It's been hit really hard. So I think the next thing to do is get rid of this rear bar and all the stuff on the back end here. So these back sections we've got here, they're going to be a bit of a hassle to get off. I had the 600mm breaker bar, and I was standing on the end of it and wouldn't budge at all. I had the blowtorch on it, had that on for a few minutes, got hot, just they are not moving. So I think we've got to put a grinder through them. So this is the damage to the back. It's cracked through there. Let's put a massive crack underneath there. This one's pulled out a bit. There's those cracks in there. Got rid of the spare tyre, and we got rid of the mechanism to wind it up and down. So that's most of the back end pretty finished. So that's enough for episode 4. We've got a fair bit done. We cleaned the engine, cleaned all the oil off that, cleaned everything off the chassis, and stripped a few things off it as well.